Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Kyle, founder of Trademaster Service. We're a Fairfax County founded service business, and boy, next month we'll be 31 years old. So I think we've passed some of the exciting hurdles of opening a small business. Very passionate about business and business opportunities, certainly in our market. Small business is the engine that drives America and provides a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. And what's exciting is every day we feel like we get to make a difference for our customers' lives and our coworkers' lives. So excited about other people maybe taking advantage of these opportunities for small businesses. On the call today, we also have Casey, our current chairman of our South County Chamber of Commerce. So thank you, Casey. We also have Stephanie Alexander from Boost and Megan Kiefer from Fairfax County, and they'll do self-introductions here shortly when we get to their section of our little talk this morning. So if anybody has a question, don't hesitate to just type it into the chat. Carla is our moderator, and she'll make sure those questions get out to whoever may be able to help with that. So this is a very open format, and we'll answer questions when appropriate or where we can. Wonderful. Okay, Carla, next slide, please. Wonderful. That's me. Next slide, please. Hooray. Hey, I just put together some really high-level points of stuff that I thought was important to share. So these are 5 bullet points that are things to really consider. And, as I sort of reread these, a few of these might feel negative, but I am not at all trying to put a damper on developing a small business. There's a lot of risk in starting a business. Starting a business, I like to say, is the easy part. Staying in business is the hard part. So if you understand the risks, you can protect yourself, you can protect your community, you can protect your coworkers. So one of the big, I don't want to say the mistakes, people when they start out and found a small business, it's really important that you understand your marketplace. Is your goods and services needed in the marketplace where you're trying to do them? So there's a lot of resources to be able to determine that in your marketplace. But if you were to, open something up in a sort of a brick and mortar environment and there's not enough market in the area and your costs are higher than your income, your business model won't succeed, and we don't want that. So it's really, really important that you understand your marketplace. Be passionate about it. I'm probably a little too passionate about, what we do, because we are a mechanical service provider in our area, and we think we are on the front line of making green jobs in our economy, making buildings and homes better. So very passionate about that. We have a whole training program, very passionate about our coworkers being successful. In today's marketplace, you really need to be the employer of choice. If you want a successful business, you have to have a business that is attractive to coworkers, where they can be successful, provide for their families, so on and so forth. So you want to share those passions and opportunities with others. This next one is going to really kind of sound like a bummer, but I discovered it, and most small business people discover it, but it's fine as long as you know going in. When you found or start a small business, it's like you have 2 full-time jobs. You have the job you have, the service you wanted to provide. In my case, home and business services for mechanical, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and facilities maintenance. The second job, which I didn't realize was going to have when we founded Trademasters, was running a business. So you have the first job, doing whatever that service is. And then when you complete your day, you still have to do, the marketing, the accounting, certainly the HR portion, your banking, all those things. So just be prepared for that. Plan ahead so you can lay those systems out and you're not shocked by that process. And then once you're able to have systems and procedures in place, it does help cover, take some of that pain away. So you're lessen the impact of, essentially having 2 jobs. One of my big life lessons was learning to say no, especially when you're young in business. There's a lot of risk, and understanding when people approach you with opportunities, if they're outside of the circle of what you do, It's usually best to say no, although it's exciting to have that new opportunity. So, we're in the mechanical world. We do a lot of stuff with steel and buildings and components, but don't ask me to build a bridge because I haven't constructed a bridge before. I drive over a lot of bridges. I know what they look like. They're made out of steel, but you know what? That's not what I do. So the risk for me to construct a bridge would be significant, and my success in that arena would probably not be a good business success. I'm sure it would be a gorgeous bridge, but learn to say no. And we've been approached, and that's some of the most painful lessons I've learned as I look back with my head down and going, I wish I would have said no to this client or this opportunity. So, try to stick in your wheelhouse, especially when you're young in business, to keep those things going. Get help. A lot of people think, it's the independent American spirit. You have to go it alone. You're an entrepreneur. It's just you. It's all you. Be independent. I say no to that. Do not be independent. Be interdependent. Learn from others. Surround yourself with people that are passionate, have the ability to help you, have made the mistakes, learn from their experiences. Some of the resources for this, of course, is join our chamber, join your local chamber, join business and trade groups of like-minded people. Certainly LinkedIn and other social media things, but have breakfast with people, do Zoom calls with them, pick their brains. Our success and growth of Trade Masters took off once we got into mentoring groups and learned how to operate a business essentially from others and learn from some of their challenges and maybe their mistakes. And then quite frankly, the things that were successful, it made a huge difference for us. So, hey, we want to be independent, but it's better to be interdependent and look to others for help. And it's surprising how many people are willing, like a lot of these people on this call, they are to help and benefit others. So thank you. Next slide, please, Carla. Okay, I'd like to hand it over to Megan for to Stephanie for a self-introduction.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I noticed that there was, my name is Stephanie Alexander, so let's start there. But I did notice, Casey, I know we jumped right into things. Did you have anything that you needed to say at the top of the house here? And would we like to answer some of these questions really quickly? I don't want it to go too far before we get into my slide. I know, Dave, there's a couple questions that were posted that you might want to address, just like I said, just in case, so I don't want people to forget them.
Absolutely not. So I was thinking of actually just doing a quick Q&A right at the end and bringing it to all of our panelists. And I'd love to get your comments all around. And I certainly appreciate that foresight on the back end. And we're just happy to have everybody here on behalf of the South Fairfax Chamber of Commerce. So just like Dave mentioned. So, but I'm just excited to hear what all you guys have to say.
What moments of brilliance we have this morning. So yes. Well, thank you, Dave, so much for insightful information. My name is Stephanie Alexander. I am the CEO and founder of a company called Boost, and I am a co-founder of a second company called GovMates. So I have two actual companies, which means I'm twice as crazy. And you can all question my sanity because I know I do on a daily basis. That's also the first part of entrepreneurship. You will question yourself over and over and over and over again. So welcome to owning a company. So I work mainly in the federal contracting space. So a lot of my background and a lot of my perspective comes from professional services, not generally, I don't deal with widgets per se, but I deal with people. And like I said, most of our work or our clients' work is with the federal contract or with the federal government, which obviously is very big in this area. But I think the advice that I've tried to put together is applicable to anyone at any stage. And I think Dave will probably share this. Learn from our mistakes. I've made plenty. I make them daily. So learn from our mistakes, make your own mistakes. You know, believe me, it's never going to be perfect, but at least take the life lessons that we've learned and hopefully impart some wisdom that will save you some of the troubles. So with that said, let's dive right into my top 5 of things I would pass on. And some of these are really boring, but they're like boring and necessary. So the first one is don't pierce the veil. So what does that actually mean to entrepreneurs? Quite frankly, you need to make sure that you have set up a different business checking account, business finances, business everything over here, and then keep your personal money, your personal funds separate. And when I say don't pierce the veil, what that means is if you were ever at risk, God forbid somebody sues you or something happens, you want all of your risks to be on the professional, on which is heavily insured or is covered, and not have people be able to go after your personal house or whatever that may be. So just a good lesson is to keep these finances separate. You want to open up a business checking account. You want to have business, everything like that, corporate credit cards, etc. And don't put your groceries on your business stuff, right? It's pretty common sense, but you're going to get yourself in trouble if you start mixing the money and nobody can figure it out and your CPA is going to hate you. So don't do that. Start from the beginning. Make sure you've separated everything out where you need to, so that folks can. It's easier for you in the long term from a tax perspective as well. The second, and this gets to the CPA, is I think there are 3 relationships that are absolutely critical. Your banker, because they've got the money, your CPA, because they'll protect your money, and your lawyer, because they'll keep you out of trouble. And these are 3 people that I think that you need to establish relationships. So what is a relationship? A relationship is not calling someone because you Googled them at your time of need, and all of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh, I need money tomorrow, and calling up somebody that you just kind of, that you don't have a personal relationship with. You want to take the time and the energy to actually create long-term relationships with these 3 advisors, because these are people that you're going to trust, that will hopefully know your business, will know about you, will know your risk tolerance, will know your personal situation from a tax perspective. The more you can tell them and be upfront with them, the better the advice they can give you. And so it's worth it to really create and develop these relationships. You will stick with these relationships most likely for a while, until something, you outgrow them or something happens. But these are people that you need on your side, and you want them to, take your phone call when you need to push through payroll through the bank and get a check cleared at 4 o'clock on a Friday. Like, if you have a personal relationship with your banker, they will be willing to do that. If you're calling the 1-800 number, they don't care. So these are the people that you really, really need to keep in your court. And so if you haven't already started to have discussions or kind of meet someone and get to know them, they're all different. They all have different personalities, and you have to choose the one that's right for you. So what may have worked for your best friend may not be the right advisor for you. It's who you trust, who you respect, who you think has your best your best intentions and your best insight first. So those are that, and that's a personal relationship. So those are the 3 that I would wholeheartedly think that you need to get on board within the first 6 months of the existence of your company. The third bullet, which has a typo, sorry, hire for your weakness. And what I mean to that is, for me personally, I struggle with writing. I can, I can spend hours on an email if I absolutely had to. So one of my first hires was somebody who was absolutely a Word person. I am really, really good at an Excel document, and I'm good with numbers, and I'm good with this. But writing proposals or writing, like business correspondence, things like that, is not my strength. And so when I hired my first employee, hiring to my weakness made sense to me. And it continues to make sense because I don't have to do everything. And you want to hire somebody who isn't you. There's already one of you. You need somebody who can complement the strengths that you bring to the table. You also need to be very real with yourself on what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. For me, like I said, it's, writing down, correspondence and writing proposals and things like that. Word nerd, as I like to call her. And I say, generally in my Excel box. So that's how we started our company. And that's what I think has helped us be successful. You don't need a repeat person. You need people who complement you. All right, the most boring one but the one that actually will keep, that is like the biggest priority, is the compliance aspect. There are laws all over the place and you will find this out, and you will find this out sometimes accidentally because you're like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So what you want to do, number one advice, is stay off the front page of the Washington Post. So you do not want to get yourself in trouble. There's a lot of different landmines potentially, depending on what agency, like where you are in the ecosystem. There's employment law, there's local law, there's state law, there's federal law, there's the IRS, there's the DOL. There's a ton of different agencies that you need to be aware of. You need to make sure that you are doing the right things all the time. And you need to be thinking about scalability and kind of like what compliance you will need, because what you need at, a couple people is less than what you need at 20 people, which is less than you need at 50 people. So you need to be keeping your eye on top of the ball. That goes to hiring people that know what they're doing and can give you this good advice. Start first with your lawyer and work from there. And finally, if you are not an expert in running payroll or doing your books or being a contracts person or any of those things, outsource it. As a small business, you very rarely need a full-time person for a specific thing, whether that be HR or recruiting or the accounting stuff. Until you get to a size and a scale where you need to hire full-time, outsource it. Spend your money with somebody who can do it faster and knows what they're doing. That way you don't have to teach them, they will teach you. And you're not paying for them to learn on the job. Most people struggle with this because they hire their friends, their family, their kids, their whatever, and they're like, oh, we'll learn. No. I am paying you. You have the expertise and you have it today, not 6 months from now, not a year from now. I am paying you for this expertise. And that's a good use of your money. You will ultimately pay less, A, because they're not making as many mistakes, and B, you're not training them. So until you get to a scalable size where it makes sense, and there is a time where it does make sense to onboard people and have them become full-time employees, outsource the stuff you don't know about, outsource the stuff that you don't want to be an expert in. Most people don't like doing their own books. I don't want to do my own books either. So give it to a qualified bookkeeper and you'll pay less money, you'll spend less time, and it'll be right at the end of the day. So that's my best advice for folks after learning the hard way on probably all of these, I think. So hopefully that's useful for everyone, and hopefully that makes sense. Happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. That was very insightful and helpful. I especially enjoyed the part about outsourcing. That absolutely makes sense. Our next presenter today is Megan Kiefer, and I'd love for her to go ahead and take over and do a self-introduction. Thank you, Megan.
Sure, thank you. Good morning. My name is Megan Kiefer. I work for Fairfax County in the Department of Economic Initiatives. We are separate and distinct from the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, with which you may be familiar. We're a relatively new agency, and we support catalytic real estate development programs and innovation and strategy programs, and then also small and local business development, which is my role. And I'm thrilled to be here today. Dave and Stephanie gave you some really great information from an entrepreneur's perspective, and some of that I'm going to touch on just a little bit. I work for the county, so my role is to make sure that our businesses are connected to each other, informed, and properly set up. So next slide. So as Dave mentioned, business owners are the experts in their business, right? And need to be. And Fairfax County believes you shouldn't have to be an expert in starting a business or specifically in the permitting requirements and the compliance that's necessary to get your business off the ground. And so that's why my role was created. Specifically, I provide two services. I'm the manager of the small and local business development services, but also we have a service that we call BizX, which is the Business Experience Partnership, which is intended to talk with prospective business owners or existing business owners who want to evolve or expand their business, to make sure that you have a roadmap, that you understand the permits and processes necessary to establish your business. I should mention that this is only for businesses that are in Fairfax County, because as much as the town of Vienna or the town of Herndon or the city of Fairfax doesn't want me to provide their permitting advice, our permitting advice is complicated enough. I'm certainly not able to provide it across other jurisdictional boundaries, but I know some people, so I'd be happy to introduce you. And so we know in Fairfax County that 95% of the businesses in Fairfax County have fewer than 50 employees, and the vast majority of those have fewer than 5, and many are single entity businesses. And so with 95% of our businesses falling in that category, your success is critical to the economic success of Fairfax County, and we're committed to work with you to make that happen. And so just a couple of things that I hope you all are aware of. Fairfax County, if you, before you sign a lease or before you decide where to locate your business, please get advice. Make sure that you are fully cognizant of what it will take to site your business in the location of your choice. I'd hate to see somebody sign a lease and then find out that they can't occupy the space. And to that point, we have a recently adopted zoning ordinance, first zoning ordinance in 43 years. We've had some significant modifications. The new regulations take effect on July 1st. So if you have, if it's been a while since you've looked at our zoning ordinance, or if you're not clear on what the requirements are, please make sure you reach out to somebody. You can find it on the county website, which is fairfaxcounty.gov /ZMOD, ZMOD, is where you'll find the new regulations, but we've got a lot of staff that's ready to help you understand. And there are specifically new regulations for home-based businesses. And again, those take effect July 1. So happy to chat with anybody about how those regulations might affect you, or to make sure that you get to the right people. And while we're talking about zoning, let me just comment, and again, to compliance and location, when you find a location for your business, every tenant is obligated to get what we call a non-residential use permit, also known as an occupancy permit. We affectionately refer to it as a non-RUP, a non-RUP. And what the non-RUP does is says that you coordinate with the county that the space that you're proposing to lease is compliant with the zoning ordinance, which sort of regulates where a business can operate. It's the orderly arrangement of the uses in the county. So we have zoning districts, and there's a list of uses that can go. Where can you put an office? Where can you put a retail establishment? And what are those regulations, right? So that's the zoning ordinance. And then there's the building code. And the building code is the code that lays out the requirements for which every space must be constructed to be safe for that use and the people who will be in that building. Kind of the easiest example that I can give you all is the I-5 zoning district is a fairly intense zoning district in Fairfax County. It's at the high end of the zoning intensity range for industrial districts. And in the I-5 zoning district, you can establish a childcare center and you can build a Costco. So zoning allows both, but you would never put a child in a warehouse, in a Costco for daycare all day long, right? So the building code regulates the number of access points, the fire suppression system, the HVAC requirements. And now we have our friend Dave who can help you if you need to make any of those modifications, right? So, so even if the zoning says, hey, I can do my use in that space, you want to make sure that you understand if you'll need to make physical changes to the space in order to achieve occupancy for the use that you want. If you're taking an office and if the space that you're leasing was previously an office and you're proposing an office and you're not doing any construction, you can go directly to zoning and get your non-RUP and we'll give that to you. If you're changing the use, so the prior tenant in the space did something different than what you're doing, you want to make sure that you understand what requirements will be necessary for you to accommodate that use. And then just a quick comment on parking. So the non-RUP is going to check your zoning. It's going to check your building code. It's also going to check adequacy of parking. The zoning ordinance has a specific parking requirement for every use in the county. And if you are changing the use, again, if you're going from a warehouse space to an office, or an office to a mercantile space, or mercantile to assembly, if you're changing the type of use in the building, you may be required to demonstrate adequacy of parking for all of the tenants in the building, or all of the buildings if there's more than one on the site, assuming maximum occupancy of all of those uses at the same time. So please don't drive by a site, say, well, the parking lot's never full. There must be adequate parking, because the county may require, before you can get your occupancy permit, demonstration that everybody is compliant with parking regulations and that there's adequacy of parking for everybody. So again, I don't want to be the voice of gloom and doom. We've got a lot of resources. We're happy to help you. Please check in with somebody before you sign a lease. Some of these things can be changed retroactively, some can't. And it can get expensive and it can get time consuming. So just go into it with your eyes open, ask for help before you make a commitment. Okay, and so now, because I've been the voice of gloom and doom, let me tell you about a couple of really kind of fun and useful resources that are completely free. If your business is one that you would have a product or a service that you would like to contract with Fairfax County, we offer a free Selling to Fairfax County vendor workshop. It happens monthly. There are day and evening opportunities, and recently, just as a result of COVID, those workshops have been sort of segmented to focus on specific industry types. You can go to anyone that you want, but there are some segmented opportunities so that you can meet like-minded people and ask very specific questions. Again, free from the Department of Purchasing and Material Management. Registration is required in advance. So, and you see on this slide the things that I have linked in purple. If you put those things in the county website, in the search box, you should be able to find them. If you can't, email me. Again, bizex, B-I-Z-E-X @fairfaxcounty.gov. I'm happy to connect you. The other resource that we have is a network called Made in Fairfax. So if your business is one that makes a tangible or reproducible product, whatever it is, cookies, shoes, beer, jewelry, computer chips, furniture, we encourage you to join the Made in Fairfax network. This is a group of like-minded makers. We have an online directory to market your products, and also for those of us who don't make things, an opportunity to shop local. We also offer education, networking, and spotlight events. So again, Made in Fairfax. And if your business is something that offers an entertainment or recreation opportunity, a leisure activity, let's connect you to Visit Fairfax, which is the county's destination marketing organization. We want to make sure that anybody who's coming to the area is aware of leisure opportunities and fun things to do. And for those of us who live here, check them out. They have calendars of events and all kinds of things, and they're happy to connect and promote these sort of recreation opportunities. And if you are looking for additional education opportunities, the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority offers a class called Entrepreneurship 101, where they bring in state, federal, and local subject matter experts to talk through all of the permits and requirements to open a business. Again, all of these resources and opportunities are free, and we hope you'll take advantage of them. Also, we're a new agency. If you've got questions or you've got ideas about programs or information that we could help prepare or provide, we're happy to hear ideas and suggestions. We love to partner with our chambers and other groups to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our small and local business community. So please reach out. And that's kind of my last bullet point, is stay connected to the Department of Economic Initiatives. We are pushing out a listserv, and you can go to our website, which again, fairfaxcounty.gov/economic initiatives. We're going to be pushing out in the next couple of weeks a fairly significant series of grant programs to support COVID-affected businesses. You may know about the RISE grant that that was recently done through Fairfax County, where we distributed over $52 million worth of Federal CARES Act funding to businesses that have been affected by COVID. We've got significant funding coming up. We've got some new programs coming out. And so all of those things will be on our website, and you'll get information if you're connected through our listserv. And so those are the 5 things that I hope you all know about us this morning, and happy to open the chat box and open the whole conversation.
Wonderful. Greatly appreciate it, Megan. I tell you what, I did not realize that 95% of Fairfax County's businesses were under the 50 workers. That really goes to that we are the economic engine for this region. So, and one of the other words I love that you said was free. How blessed we are to have opportunity to have a, part of the county services and resources like yourself that are no cost, especially people that are new in business or founding a new business. So I'd like it.
Favorite 4-letter word, right?
Yeah, right. It is. That's fantastic. Certainly, I think what I picked up today before we hand it back to Carla for questions is, business. We have the opportunity to really make a difference in our community, make a difference in the lives of our coworkers and even our clients. And I think the biggest thing, opportunity. You have the opportunity to be the change you want to see it in your community and even in your market. So this is all sort of part of the why on a business. It's not always about the dollars and cents, although you have to run a successful business model to stay in business. There's a lot more to it than that. So I'd like to pass it over to Carla and Casey. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. No, all a wealth of information. Absolutely amazing thoughts shared. Moments of wisdom, as Stephanie put it earlier, very eloquently put. So we do have a couple of quick questions, though, and I'd love to kind of open this up to our panel. So our first question comes from Claire, and her question was, are there special considerations for understanding the market? And do you believe there are things that folks put too much importance on over others?
Dave, do you have an opinion? I have many.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'll pass it over to Stephanie. Go ahead, Stephanie.
My personal perspective is you have to have something that people want to buy. You have to sell it at a price that people will pay. And and you have to do it in a way that will either get repeat customers, have some sort of consistency, word of mouth, whatever. So, that is the fundamental of any business anywhere, right? So if you have a product that no one wants, then scrap it. If you're selling it at a price that you can't produce it or make it or, deliver it in a price that people will pay, not going to work. That's like the block and tackle fundamental of the business. And so you have to be able to answer that for yourself when you first start. Do I have a product or a service that people actually want? And can I sell it for a reasonable price that I can still actually make money, but that people will pay? And then everything else goes from there. My personal opinion. And people forget that. You may have the coolest thing ever, but nobody wants to pay money for it, then don't go into business with it. What do you think, Dave?
I agree. And I picked up some stuff from Megan as far as the cost. When you're building out a new space, when you're converting a space for retail, you have to know what those costs are to understand the marketplace. So if the cost, whatever, hundreds of thousands to build out the space, will you have the revenue to cover those costs of leasehold improvements or building new or so on and so forth. So you need to run the basic successful business model, have the market, have the products and services that can be supported by that market. You could have a fantastic good or service in the market, but there's not enough business in that area. If somebody needs to drive to your location to enjoy the benefits of your business, is there enough market in that drive time? And that's something I think that Megan may be able to put our people listening to this cast on to find the resources to determine if there's enough market sort of in that region. Now, in today's online world, that market is a little bit more expanded. So it's not so much of a concern of the geographics, based on what you're offering.
Depending, yeah.
So just very quickly, I would add, and this is the mom in me, but I mean it seriously, go to the library. The Fairfax County Public Library has very recently expanded its resources to support small businesses, and they have tremendous resources available and guidance to help you define your market, refine your market. They can help you create target customer mailing lists. I was blown away by the new resources that they've added, specifically at the Patrick Henry Library, accessible, most of it online, but they're offering classes, free classes, and guidance from librarians who have been trained to do business development type and business support research. So check out the library.
Great
It's
thought.
also, and it's free.
And
Also
it's free. Yes. I love it.
Taxpayer dollars paid for that. So yeah.
That's it. Well, great points. I definitely appreciate you guys answering that. We have another question from Renee. Where do I find quality mentors?
I'll start off with that one. The best high level mentors I got were from my national association of contractors. In this case, it was ACCA. They had built out mentoring groups of like-minded businesses in different geographic areas. So they were businesses of similar size and scope. And we were able to trade best practices and mentor each other and set goals for success. I've always been active in business groups like local chambers too, where in our local chamber, you tend to maybe connect with businesses that have the same business challenges, but maybe not the same operational challenges. So it's fantastic to meet people in your chamber. And then the same thing from the occasional hired consultant, as Stephanie said, to actually just finding people that are very experienced, that have done this before. One blessing we have in this marketplace in the greater Washington area is there's a lot of sort of senior executives that have done this, that are retired, that may be willing to help you at either little to no cost. So there's some opportunities there, as well. So anybody else have an opinion on that?
Sure, I'll jump in. SCORE, which is it's the Service Corps of Retired Executives, is a free network supported by federal dollars. These are retired executives who donate their time to entrepreneurs, and you can find them on the SCORE website, which is just score.org. And you can search depending on your industry, your location, your specific question. They've got a terrific library, again with the libraries, but they've got some great videos online, but you can connect with a specific mentor. And if you, Fairfax County has a relationship with SCORE, both through the Community Business Partnership, which is located in Springfield, and the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, where they have sort of pre-screened local mentors. So if you want somebody to help you pick a mentor, call Community Business Partnership, call the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and arrange to meet with a SCORE mentor through either of their programs. Or again, look online. You can reach out to SCORE mentors, anybody listed in the directory, because you may not need somebody local. It depends on what your specific challenge is.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how much does that cost, Megan?
It's free.
Way to lob that one up there for Megan. Teamwork is dream work. Good job, Dave. Great answer, Megan. All right. And I never knew about SCORE either, so that's definitely great information to share outwards. So we do have another question. While I understand your point on saying no, it seems like that might hinder growth in the long run. When do you know when to make that jump from no to yes?
I guess that was me again. So yeah, those are very tough strategic business decisions. Is it in your wheelhouse to have the capability to be highly successful, when you do it? If it's sort of, again, outside your circle, I use building a bridge, for example, or you could pick something else. Casey, I know you're in the insurance business. If somebody asked you to do car repairs, yeah, you drive a car every day, but that's not your area of expertise. You could probably connect your client with somebody who provides excellent car care in your community. So those are tough decisions. And quite frankly, if you're getting a lot of market demand for a certain good or services that is outside your wheelhouse, well, maybe you could always adjust your plan to meet those ends, but you would want to do that as a strategic planning and not sort of on a whim that you think you could be successful. Because I think it will take away from as you're doing the thing outside of your circle, it'd be greatly taking away from what your prime business is. So.
I would agree. I would say you can say the time that you start to say yes is when you're really, really comfortable with saying yes before. When you're executing, you've got, money in the bank account, you've got stuff, like you're humming along and you're like, okay, I've gotten my pace, I've gotten my speed. Then you can start being more open to saying the things you may have said no before to maybe. And again, with thought and consideration, not on a whim. And with the understanding that it always takes more resources than you think, unfortunately. It's always twice as long and twice as much money. It's just
That's
it. Sadly.
Megan, is there anything you'd like to add on that?
It's probably not my wheelhouse. I would just say, understand that every time you expand and you're doing something new, it can be like starting over. So, are you limiting the other things you used to do? Have you added capacity in some way? And understand the downside of the learning curve.
Absolutely. I will actually chime in on this one. And I use this a lot. And as a business owner, in order to take no 2 letters to yes 3 letters, you need to understand the 3 letters in between that, which is your ROI. Okay. Does your return on investment make sense to turn it into a yes? And that really is just like everybody has mentioned. It's just basically doing your research. And with the wealth of information that's available to you, you can make that determination. And sometimes it's a gut call. Ellie asked, how much does it cost to get a company started in Fairfax? What's the BPOL rate and how is it determined?
So that depends. I can answer the BPOL question first. That's pretty easy. If your gross receipts in a calendar year are anticipated to be less than $10,000, you do not need a business license, which is what we call BPOL, or you can have a business license and we won't charge you for it. And so again, if your gross receipts are expected to be $10,000 or less, no fee. Come on in, say you want a business license because you're pitching for a contract and you need to prove that you have a business license, or your banker wants you to have one, or your partners want you to have one, we'll give you a business license. If your gross receipts are between $10,000 and $50,000 in a calendar year, it is a $30 flat fee. Between $50,000 and $100,000 in a calendar year, it's a $50 flat fee. And then above $100,000, it is dependent upon your NAICS code. It's a percentage of your gross receipts based on your NAICS code. So that's the answer to the business license. If your business will operate from your home, you'll need a home occupation permit. The filing fee today is $50. It's an administrative one-time fee. After July 1st, it's going to go up to $100. That assumes that you will not have customers or clients coming to your home. If your business model anticipates having customers or clients come to your home, you'll need a special permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals. And the filing fee for that is $435, and there's some costs associated with that process. A non-rep is $70. Again, that's the occupancy permit. And depending on your business, if you need building plans, Those can get a little bit expensive. We can talk about that. It depends on the scope of what you're doing. You may need fire marshal. There are different permits that you may need depending on your location and your business.
Thank you, Megan. And then certainly as far as a cost standpoint, make a very realistic budget, get those mentors involved for them to help give you realistic estimates. And then if you go full time, if you jump in with both feet and leave an employer and start a new business, you've got to be able to cover the gap of difference of, the no income for whatever period of time it takes to get the business producing income. So making realistic budgets is really important, including the contingencies. And Megan outlined some of those contingencies. Stephanie touched on some of those as well. Really important to try to have those contingencies covered. And then not only budget in dollars, but budget in time for that, essentially working two jobs. Just make sure there's enough of, you have enough human resources to be successful in time as well. So the two things that can be very risky, of course, is running out of money, but also running out of time. I know early on, I was looking for that 8th day in the week. I was trying to invent the day after Sunday because I needed, I need more days in the week to be able to do what I had to get done. And that day just doesn't exist. I think a few times I woke up in the morning and my shoes were still warm. And it can be really, really challenging from a time management standpoint as well. So keep that in mind as far as your budget, so to not make some of the mistakes that I made.
And if I can just jump onto that, also in terms of budgeting time, please be aware that the permitting process, particularly if you're doing construction, can take a little bit of time. Please don't quit your job on a Friday thinking you're going to open your new office on Monday, the one that you found over the weekend in between. It may not work that way. So just be clear about what it is that you need to do to make your space habitable and to get everything done in time. So, and again, we can help walk you through that on a step-by-step, on a location-by-location basis.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Stephanie, do you have anything extra you want to add on that?
Nope.
well,
We covered it.
Outstanding. Well, how about you? We have another question that we got in. I'd love to get your input on that. Are there common landmines in the form of, or for lack of a better word, scams or too good to be true opportunities that you see often?
My gosh, it's like the endless amounts of people calling to tell me they're going to extend my car warranty. If someone approaches you on LinkedIn, it's too good to be true. If a marketing person is going to somehow deliver X amount of leads, we all get these emails. And so generally, I think everything in that vein, I tend to be very cynical about and don't believe. You will always do your best marketing. You are your brand. And so you've got to be out there. To Dave's point, sadly, no one has created the 8th day. And so part of your job is to get out there and hustle. Like, it's a biz, hustle. Get out there and pay the bills. And you're the first one to do that. And you're the last one at night. And it's your company, it's your life, it's your bloodline. And so you've got to be the one to sell yourself. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you can hire other people. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you can actually hire a marketing firm and other things like that. But in the beginning, it's all, there's a lot of different hats and a lot of things to juggle. So if someone's coming to tell you that they're going to bring you leads, or, it's like the timeshare in Florida on the swamp type thing. If it sounds, I promise you it is. Like, unfortunately, there's nothing easy about this. And I wish there was this big easy button. And so many of these things, the advice is the same on all the panels, all the webinars, all the things, but it's the same because it seems basic, but it's so basic because it's so true. And there is no shortcut to success. There's no magical pill. You can't suddenly lose weight overnight, just like you can't suddenly make a successful business overnight. Dave, I'm sure that you probably agree with that. You're 31 years in the making, and it's like, nobody's going to magically have the answer for you that's going to solve all your problems and make your life, and you're going to be a millionaire. I mean, like, it just isn't that way. And that's why
Well,
not everybody's an entrepreneur, and it's
Yeah.
not for everyone. Like
I
you have to have it in your DNA.
I completely agree. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. There
Yeah.
is one pitfall / landmine I want to mention. I've seen this in other small businesses. Is be careful of not finance scams, but for the financing, a lot of businesses get in trouble. They get in a tight spot for cash flow, which is one of those very important things. To Stephanie's earlier point of having an excellent relationship with your accountant, they get in a pinch for cash flow. Their business may be profitable, but their money is in somebody else's hands until they get their receivables in. There are very intense risks to taking third-party financing for your business. I would highly recommend that you have a close relationship with your banking and stick to the mainstream methods of financing your business, because those can be very, very risky and extremely costly for your business. And they seem to target the newer businesses are the ones that may be struggling with cash flow issues. And it could be a situation that you would have a lot of trouble digging yourself out of, sort of once those other business methods of extracting or giving, lending you money that is not mainstream is very risky, is my point.
Very, very true. And everyone should know that when you do sign up for your tax ID number, you are then on every mailing list ever for everything. So if all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere that they were just going to hand you cash, they're going to hand you liens, they're going to hand you all the things. Of course, they spammed your name off the website, and it's a scam. So I have not known one thing. Unfortunately, you still have to do the hard work. So there's no easy answer ever to be truly successful.
Megan, is there anything else you'd like to add on that?
No, I think they've done a great job.
Outstanding. Well, I want to go ahead and get this wrapped up. I want to thank all three of you for showing up today and sharing your words of wisdom. I will tell you personally, I pulled from Dave's segment to, set up your systems and processes. It's extremely important. To have that in place. Stephanie, I pulled up the accountability and self-awareness. Make sure you hire to complement. And for Megan, I mean, a huge myriad of resources from Fairfax County. All screams at me, research, research, research. Do your research when it comes to opening a business. So thank you guys for sharing so much wisdom with us today. We really appreciate you being here. And for those that maybe did not get to attend, we will have this online on our website, southfairfaxchamber.org. And today, I do want to make sure that I pay homage to our sustaining members. We want to thank them. Without them, we wouldn't be able to put together such wonderful presentations and messages throughout the community. Definitely, they give us our why on why we're here. Okay, as far as the why that you're thinking on setting up your business, why you're showing up here today, here's our why on why we continuously work tirelessly to help out our community. So just for everybody to understand, this is how you follow us. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're all on there, and these are going to be the sessions that we're going to have today. So we have the art of hiring coming up. We have the ABCs of digital marketing, beyond service to your country. And then on top of that, are you financially literate and making connections, all for the culmination of our happy hour that's starting today at 6 o'clock. And we would love to have everybody here today. So thank you all for showing up today. We really appreciate your attendance.
Excellent.